Hello, we're Blue Yonder Research and we're here today to talk to you about how to deliver R&D excellence. So I'm Hannah Rogers, Head of New Business and Client Lead at Blue Yonder.
Hello, and I'm Kate. I'm Research Director and Head of Sense Lab at Blue Yonder. Nice to meet you all.
And we have been working with leading global giants and specifically R&D teams for, 20 years, 20 plus years
20
between
plus
us.
years,
And,
unfortunately.
Yeah, and 15 odd years at Blue Yonder Research. So today we want to share our expertise with you, and it's on two levels, so it's very much two levels. The first thing is, if you're watching on your agency side, it's about how to deliver great R&D research, because it is very different from general research. It's a level of precision that goes far beyond just standard what do you like, what do you dislike, and it's so important for the R&D teams. From a client side, it's helping you recognise when agencies are delivering what you need before it's too late, effectively, and it's making sure that you get what you need, and specifically as well, it's how to encourage them, how to guide them to make sure you get what you need every time you can make the right R&D decisions. So we're going to start by getting a bit of an experiment up, and we'd like you to have 1 minute to grab a product, and this can be absolutely anything. And Kate, suggestions welcome. Laundry products is pot noodle mascara,
Moisturiser, shampoo,
that's good, conditioner, milk,
hand sanitizer.
Yeah, lots of hand moisturiser because of the hand sanitizer. It could be sellotape, it could be wipes. I'm having a look around the room that we're in. Sugar, grab sugar. There's a lot of tea and coffee in the room that we're in, which is excellent. Chocolate bars. It could be
air freshener.
Yeah, home care product,
candle.
Household candle, anything that you've got in your home or anything you'd buy in a supermarket, because that's where we want to focus today. Very much FMCG R&D. And we want to talk by starting through a typical Rng objective, and I'm handing over to Kate for this.
Yeah, thanks, Hannah. So a typical objective could be, which of these pack designs is the lead option? And you can see there's 3 different pack designs. But that's a really, really broad objective. So we need to delve deeper. We can't answer that question unless we delve deeper. And it might be actually that none of those 3 designs are ideal, and we have to create an ideal because we might have to take little bits of each one to create that ideal. And that's fine. So what we need to do is really understand the touch points, which has the greatest visual appeal, which is the most desirable. What does each pack communicate to the consumer? Which delivers superior functionality across all touch points, and that's really thinking about storage, where do I put it, how does it stand, everything to do with functionality, not just the opening the cap and pouring. Which is most intuitive, and that's really important, because the one that's most intuitive to use might not be the one that's the most desirable to look at. So we really need to understand that and create that ideal if that's the case. Which design has the edge over the others? How can we improve it, and how can we deliver competitive advantage? And that is really what we need to get to. How can we deliver that competitive advantage so that your brand or your product has the edge over its competitors?
And Kate's absolutely right, and that language is so powerful. It's competitive edges, and very much when we're looking at R&D, sometimes it's about innovation, transforming, disrupting, MPD, innovating the future. But sometimes it's about designing for superiority and making sure that what's currently on the market, what we can currently deliver, is superior, like Kate says, at every single touch point. So think back to the item that you've grabbed. So hopefully you've all got your shampoo or whatever it is, you've got something in your hand now. And imagine it in terms of technical detail. So the example we're going to give is a deodorant can, which you can see on screen now, beautifully rotating. We need to break down each and every attribute to understand the contribution to consumer perception. And we will say it is all about consumer perception. We've seen products where it might have a lot of menthol in, and the design it's meant to portray coolness, but actually when consumers get it on a consumer perception level, it makes them think, oh, it's warming, it's soothing. So the perception is what matters. So how would you break down your chosen item? And for this can, we'd talk about the shape of the pack, break it down to the base, the lid, the shoulders, beyond likes and dislikes. What does it communicate about the product? What does it communicate about the brand? Stability of the pack, again, at shelf, there's pusher systems these days that force things off the shelf if you don't have the stability right. At shelf, so in home as well, texture of the pack, what does that communicate? The graphics, the texture of the button, the pressure needed on the button, the distance of the compression. Here we have the sound of spray, and you know yourself, if you spray something and it sounds very harsh and brutal, it might communicate that it's going to be cooling, it's cold, but also that it's going to burn, it's going to be and it's going to sting. So you need to think about the brand and the product values as well when you're developing the product on a technical level. We can talk about the width the spray reaches for this pack, spray clouds, fragrance, so it's not just liking, it's intensity, immediately after application, later in the day, later beyond that, what happens when it mixes with sweat. So all of these little details, you'd have a look at the sensory after shaving, for example, skin benefits, odour protection, wetness protection, marks on clothes. So yes, this is a kind of deodorant, but these are everything from an R&D side and more that we can research, and all these little things need to add up holistically to mean something, and it has to be in precise technical detail.
Thanks, Hannah. So again, taking your product, imagine your item was one of the design options. What can we say about it? So have a think. What can you say about your item? It's modern, it's messy, it's easy to hold, it feels nice in your hand, it's easy to open. Brilliant, all great, but it's all top of mind. It's all too broad and unhelpful. We need to be precise. We need to tell our clients what they need to do to their product to give them that competitive edge. We can't just say, it looks modern. What looks modern about it? Why is it messy? So what do we mean by precise? We mean actionable, helpful and useful. We need to help our clients make decisions and select those lead options. Design something which is right first time and something superior to again offer that competitive advantage. So our MD Richard, he joined from a different company. He's been here around 3 years now, but a huge experience in marketing. And he said, think of it as a double clicking to get deeper and deeper into the layers. Keep double clicking until actually you kind of got there, you've got your answer, that you don't need to double click anymore, but you must keep double clicking until you get into those layers. So to be useful, every single data point needs to be precise. It needs to be created with an end purpose in mind, so the client knows what to do. So we've got a diagram here taking you through the steps. So okay, it's easy to hold. That would probably be what an inexperienced vendor would tell you. The handle is easy to hold. Okay, so we're getting a little bit more precise here. That may come from an average agency. But we can still go further. It's a good grip. The ridges in the handle make it easy to use. This is going to come from an above average agency who really understands those real niches that you really need to understand. But when you get to the expert R&D partners, you're going to get a lot more. The handle is easy to use because the fingers fit through the handle. The knuckles don't touch the body of the bottle. The fingers loop around to fully enclose the handle. And the ridges give no slip, which gives confidence with wet fingers. That's what we need to get to. That helps us make the right decisions, drive growth and really deliver superiority for our clients.
And I think really powerfully on that side is that idea that everything we do and everything we test, every recommendation we make, every insight we make as a R&D agency for your agencies, it's got to be created with the end purpose in mind. There's people that need to know precisely what you are talking about in order for them to scientifically, physically or design what you're talking about. So all those details are absolutely crucial.
Yeah, so going back to what we talked about earlier, we talked about, okay, the product that you've chosen, okay, it looks modern. And I think you're going to see some images now on the screen, but what was it about it that made it look modern? It was a three-way clean line contrast between the wood, the metal and the glass, a double layer of transparent glass, unbroken view of internal workings. That's what made it look modern. It's messy. What was it that made it messy? After 1 week of usage, the product builds up in the threads under the lid and it goes sticky and cloggy, which prevents cap closure, hence spill risk. It has high appeal. Why does it have high appeal? Well, the combination of the white, rich, green and silver and the gentle curves of the neck of the product, that's what gives it the high appeal. And it's easy to open. Why was it easy to open? So the perforated tabs sit fully between the tips of the fingers and forethumb, and it removes with minimal pressure in single horizontal even strip, so it makes it very easy for me to remove that perforated tap. some initial resistance when starting to pull to deliver security cues. So you can see the precision that we're going into and the real detailing. Sometimes you might think it's too much detail or too much precision, but it isn't. That's what delivers that real superiority for our client.
Absolutely. And the reason it has to go into this detail we're about to make clear. So as an agency, it's how do you know when to stop? And that's one of the hardest things, particularly when you're moderating your programme. It's so easy to run over time. But all the way through, you've got to know if you've got enough detail. And again, when you write in your reports, have I got enough information in there? So this is a shortcut to help you effectively. So imagine you are a member of a client sensory team and you've developed maybe 10 prototype face creams. It could be face creams, it could be anything, but we're going to use face creams as an example. And you need to decide, your director has said, you need to decide which 3 to take forward. So you can only have 3. Those are the ones that might go into field. Your only guidance is an agency report. From an agency perspective, the absolute worst thing in the world would be to deliver a report and they go, oh, fantastic in the debrief, but you realise very quickly afterwards when they come back with question, it's not actionable. People can't do much with it. They can't make the right decisions. We've left them with a lot of guesswork. So you're this person, you're this scientist, and you've got these creams in front of you. So imagine you have these 10 products here, and your agency report says, ensure the product is not sticky. And like, okay, right, so you put your finger in them, you dab them, put your finger in, touch it, put your finger, dab it, and go, oh, okay, fingers together. Is it sticky? Is it sticky? And like, oh, okay, well, this one maybe. So you end up, you can only narrow it down to 7. We think, well, I don't think it's sticky, but that's all I've got to go in. So you haven't met your direct objective. You've still got 7 prototypes. If you want to push it a little bit further, an agency report could say, ensure product is not sticky 1 minute post-application. So again, you'll see here you get out a timer. Right, okay. So 1 minute, press your timer, hit go, same process again, touch, feel, and really experience all of those yourself. So you're making the decisions as the consumer would, right? Yes, I can feel that. I understand what the agency mean. But actually, even that, oh, damn it, I've narrowed it down to 6, but I've still got too many options. So what we're looking for is this level of precision. So the maximum acceptable stickiness on application is the stickiness of sellotape when touched gently on your fingertip. No stickiness acceptable 1 minute post-application, and the finger must pull away with no resistance. And that level of detail, you can do that. You can do that test. You can imagine somebody physically doing that. And when they've done that, that should narrow it down to 2, 3 options, everything you need to make the right R&D decisions. And it's so important as well. I mean, the words, the way we interpret words is so different depending on your culture, your life experiences, your brand perceptions. So the trick is to make sure there can be one single interpretation of what you've written in your report, because clients interpret things differently to the way you could have meant them. So the trick is to use lots and lots of images. Keep it clear, keep it concise, and keep it simple. They really do speak 1,000 words picture. So give visual examples of precisely what you mean. If you're talking about something's too long, too short, use hands-on packs. Show what bit's too long. Show how things are held. Show the finger position that's making it awkward and comfortable. So when the R&D teams get back to the lab, they can pick it up, hold it. Do my fingers match what's in that picture? Then we've got an issue, or then we've got excellence. So we can see some examples here. So when we've got the precision analysis we need, it's about how do we land the message with the R&D teams, and video is incredibly powerful here. So as we've mentioned before, it's about being specific in your recommendations and as specific as you were in your reporting. So again, make sure it's easy to use. And it's like, well, that's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? Make sure it's easy to use, obviously.
What's easy to use?
Yeah, what's easy to use, and easy to use, what does easy to use even mean? How do I recognise when it is easy to use? I think it's easy to use, I made it. So focus development on improving pack grip. Ensure fingers span 3/4 of the way around the pack. So again, you've got the person in the lab, they are physically picking up packs, that one, my fingers span 3/4 of the way around the pack. Yeah, we can do that, that's a goer. And again, not just about precision, it's about context as well. So there's 3 key things when we're developing R&D. It's desirability, feasibility, and viability. So we really need to give teams full understanding of each data point to help them make the best decisions as well. So we need to build in safety nets. We need to really make sure that we're making something that's all of those things desirable, feasible and viable. So we need to go beyond that. Every good researcher knows about what, so what and then what, and most of us go to why as well, but this is even more important than ever for R&D teams, because unless you have that why, that understanding, if for any reason, law or production line changes or whatever it is can't make what consumers are telling you is their ideal, it's just practically, physically or legally impossible. If you know why, the why behind it, the insight, you can find other ways to meet the needs. So there's always more than one way to deliver superiority. You just might have to try a couple of different things. It's also very much about giving short-term recommendations, but longer-term strategic ideals. And these guardrails are important as well. So obviously saying, great, consumers want a matte texture because it helps keep premium, and obviously it's a premium brand, etc. But when you need to make sure we have a range of options minimum to ideal, because depending on cost, depending on timings, depending on whether you just need to get something to launch and deliver a minimum viable product or the ideal, we can have these different ranges, and it gives enough scope to do something a bit disruptive and disruptive innovation, because I think the last thing we want to do is tell designers this is precisely how it's going to look. And as a final note from us, you need to make sure that every tiny detail you explore and optimise is cohesive, it's holistic, because consumers and people, we experience things as an entirety. We don't look at that kind of deodorant or that pot noodle or that tin of beans and think, oh, look at that lettering, look at that opening. We see it, or that taste, we look and experience it holistically. So that's how we need to design. That's how we need to make sure that the R&D research finds all those tiny details, works to optimise them in line with a single vision, because that is what's going to give us a competitive edge to win, and that is true R&D excellence. So I hope you've had interesting time listening to us, and we'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, do get in touch. We're very passionate about this, so do get in touch if you've got anything you'd like to talk about.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.